keeping you connected in Northeast Wisconsin. You're watching NBC 26 Today.
Coming up on NBC 26 Today, takeaways from last night's presidential debate as President Trump and Joe Biden faced each other on the stage for the first time. Plus, the questions that voters here in Wisconsin say matter to them most. And the court ruling that could mean when it comes to the election, we may not know Wisconsin's results until days later. Good Wednesday morning. Meteorologist Gino Recchia joining us from his home studio this morning. Do you have coffee? Do you have your cereal and all your fixins already going?
I had my cereal. You know I eat my cereal in the morning, Emily.
Yeah, I do.
A little backstory to that. Exactly. Like anytime her and I would go out on shoots, I would have my bowl of cereal. But the only thing I do have is just my jug of water. Fun fact for you.
Well,
exactly. You know,
I've got my coffee. Cheers.
Go.
Let's take it away.
Oh, well, yeah. There you go. Yeah, I'm not a coffee drinker. So for those of you at home, we're like, how do you do this early in the morning without coffee? Well, you know, I asked myself that question as well. But I'm sure when I get a little later on in age, that's when it'll hit me. 47 degrees right now in Green Bay. We've got the wind out of the south at 3 miles per hour. Just starting to see a little bit of light shining off into the distance, but we still got a little bit of time before that sunrise, which is in about 50 minutes. Holding on into 47 in Green Bay. We've got that little thing. Let me move that out of the way real quick. 42 in Wapaka, 37 in Watoma, 43 in Princeton. We've got light winds coming in out of the west and southwest at about 5 miles per hour. Some of us pretty calm, but then we'll see the wind shift later on this afternoon out of the west and northwest at about 10 to 20 miles per hour, gusts upwards of 30 miles per hour. Quiet rainfall-wise, but we got another round of rain moving in here later on as we get into the afternoon, and you see it right there moving down to the south. Skycast is showing as we get into the afternoon, some of these showers are going to start to pop up here. Here we are just before 5 o'clock this evening, and then we continue on into the evening hours. So the umbrellas will be handy today. Temperature-wise, getting up to 60 degrees. Talking more about some cool air coming up in my full forecast.
All right, we'll check back in with you in a little bit, Gino. Thanks. Last night's presidential debate is being called embarrassing by some people this morning. Tracy Potts is in Washington with the highlights of what happened and what didn't.
Good morning, Emily. Good morning, everyone. This was some debate, and clearly both sides had a strategy. The president tried to drive a wedge between Biden and progressives, and the Biden team says they practiced for the interruptions. Their plan for their candidate was to have him ignore the president and look directly into the camera and talk to you.
I'll be honest, it's a very important question.
Try to be honest.
It was a debate like America has never seen, an absolute free-for-all at times. 90 minutes of constant interruptions, with Fox News moderator Chris Wallace losing control.
Gentlemen, I hate to raise my voice, but I see it seems to be, why shouldn't I be different than the two of you?
The tone between President Trump and Democratic nominee Joe Biden often combative.
Don't ever use the word smart with me. Don't ever use that word.
Oh, give me a break.
Because you know what?
The president went after Biden's son, Hunter.
He was thrown out, dishonorably discharged.
That's not true. He wasn't dishonorably.
Cocaine use. And he didn't have a job until you became vice president.
Questions about President Trump's Supreme Court nominee devolved into a hashtag.
Will you shut up, man? Listen,
Shut up, man, trending on Twitter. There was name-calling on both sides.
Everybody knows he's a liar. You're the worst president America has ever had.
Hey,
Come
Joe,
on.
let me just tell you, Joe, I've done more in 47 months, I've done more than you've done in 47 years, Joe.
The moderator trying to draw out differences on COVID, the economy, the president's taxes.
I paid $38 million 1 year. I paid $27 million.
Show us your
1
tax
year.
returns.
I went. You'll see it as soon as it's finished. You'll see it.
The president agreeing to call out white supremacist groups, but then struggling to name one.
Well, then do it, sir. Say it. Do it. Say it.
Do you want to call them? What do you want to call them? Give me a name. Give me a name.
Biden repeatedly trying to distance himself from the left in a debate that struggled for substance. At the end of the debate, both candidates were asked, will you accept the election results? Biden said yes. The president said if he sees evidence of ballots being manipulated, no. I'm Tracy Potts, NBC 26.
Thank you, Tracy. Meanwhile, supporters in the area rallied their bases. NBC 26's Jenna Bree reports.
Both Republicans.
The energy has been high. It's been much higher than it was in 2016.
for the president.
And Democrats.
I've never put a yard sign in my yard, but I know that we have to this time. I have to show people who I'm willing to support.
Say political momentum has been strong this year. Biden campaign volunteer Denise Gomer-Hutchison says people in Wisconsin want answers on a few big issues.
How are we going to keep health care in place for people in Wisconsin? How are we going to get jobs back in Wisconsin? How are we going to fund public education so all kids have an equal opportunity?
And Brown County Republican Party Chair James Fitzgerald says people want to hear about law and order.
I think a lot of families are going to be looking at that. A lot of husbands and wives are saying to each other, can we send our children out on the streets? Can we be sure that they're going to be safe?
While Biden supporters believe Wisconsinites want change,
they're ready for voices of reason and compassion and support and inclusion.
Trump supporters believe the current president will win again.
I know that our dairy farmers are excited about what he's done. I know the hardworking union folks are very, very happy with some of the things that he's done.
But both sides can agree both candidates will continue to make this state a focal point in the election. In Green Bay, I'm Jenna Bree, NBC 26.
Thanks, Jenna. President Trump returns again to Wisconsin this weekend, landing in Green Bay on Saturday. President Trump won Kenosha by a razor-thin margin of 238 votes in 2016, and 2020 is expected to be a real close race once again. The area was thrust into the spotlight this year with the police shooting of Jacob Blake and the civil unrest that followed. Both presidential candidates visited the city, and both parties are working hard to sway swing voters. During last night's event, they told us the recovery of the Kenosha economy after COVID-19 and the unrest is top of mind.
I think people trust Donald Trump a little bit better to get the economy going again and to let COVID run its course. And that doesn't mean to just throw off restraint. That just means that there's only so much that can be done for COVID.
From my perspective right now, Joe Biden has a plan for health care. He has a plan for the economy. I know Donald Trump's been talking about it for a number of years, but I haven't seen what that plan is.
The point is
Before Donald Trump, the last time Kenosha County went for a Republican was Nixon. A new court ruling could mean that after the election, we won't know who won Wisconsin until days after the polls close. An appeals court sided with a lower court, saying a 6-day extension can stand for counting absentee ballots in the state. It means absentee ballots that arrive after Election Day can be counted as long as they are postmarked by November 3rd. Republicans can still appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court. The ruling comes as some Wisconsin voters have already cast their ballot. 308,000 absentee ballots have been returned so far out of more than 1 million requested for November's election. All right, still to come, cases rising in children. More kids are being diagnosed with coronavirus. What leaders say could be a reason for it.
You can't decide between wonton or egg drop soup with today's easy recipe. You won't have to. So grab a soup spoon and meet me right back here.
Not gonna lie, I don't have the TV set up right now, but I'm gonna have to watch Mr. Food during the segment. We've got temperatures in the upper 30s right now in Watoma. We've got lower to mid 40s across most of us this morning. We're gonna be climbing up to right around 60 degrees, but then more cold air moving in here by Friday, struggling to even reach 50. We're gonna be talking about that coming up.
Good Wednesday morning. Looks like Mr. Food has a soup dish for us. That'd be perfect for these cooler temps. Let's see how he does it.
When it comes to choosing between wonton and egg drop soup, which do you prefer? I like them both, which is why we came up with an egg drop soup with wontons in it. That is as easy as can be. We begin by heating some chicken broth with a touch of sesame oil. While that heats up, we combine some ground pork with a few sliced scallions, ground ginger, and garlic powder. Once that's mixed, we put spoonfuls of this on a wonton skin. And if you're wondering, where can I find these? They're usually in the produce section. Next, we brush the edges with beaten eggs, fold it over to form a triangle, and seal them up. Then into the soup they go. Once they're cooked, we take them out and thicken our soup by slowly stirring in some cornstarch mixed with a bit of chicken broth. To make this true egg drop soup, we need to add some eggs, of course. So we drizzle in a few at a time that we've beaten. We finish it off with a touch of soy sauce before adding the cooked wontons back in. That's it. Maybe top it off with a few scallions and it's ready to serve. And the best part is, it's so good no one would ever believe that you made it from scratch. The recipe for our wonton egg drop soup is online now, so you can have the best of both worlds. I'm Howard with Kelly in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found a super duper way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
That looked like a nice and easy one, that's for sure. Thanks, Mr. Food. Still ahead, the FAFSA student aid application will be available to families this week. What you should know about this year's form.
And we are talking about another cool start to our day. Temperature-wise, in the mid and upper 40s, a little cooler up towards Watoma and also in Anago, where we're holding on into the mid and upper 30s. Rainfall, well, it's going to be inevitable. Once again today, we're tracking another round of it moving down to the east and southeast. Coming up after the break, we're going to time it out. And also, when could we see a warm-up? Well, I think I got the answer for you.
You're watching NBC 26 Today with Brooke Haves and meteorologist Michael Fish.
Good morning, I'm Emily Byer in for Brooke Haves. Over the last month, the U.S. has seen a sharp rise in COVID cases among school-age kids. In April 2nd, 2% of children made up the country's cases. Now that number is at 10%. That's according to the American Academy of Pediatrics. The CDC says it noticed the rise starting to happen when most kids returned to school earlier this month. Teens were more likely to become infected than young children. The CDC says most children have mild cases and hospitalizations and death rates are still much lower than adults. As fall sets in and the weather turns colder, more restaurants are warily moving inside. Cities from stricter COVID restrictions like New York, San Francisco, and Chicago are all raising their indoor capacity limits in an effort to keep the industry running. Other cities like Denver are extending their outdoor dining program, which allows restaurants to set up seating outside. Nearly 1 in 6 restaurants have gone out of business since the pandemic started. Starting tomorrow, families sending a student to college will be able to complete the free application for federal student aid, otherwise known as FAFSA. Liz McLaughlin reports on why it's especially important to get that application in early this year.
Melissa Stapley is going back to college with the hope of becoming a dental hygienist, an opportunity she was able to afford with the help of financial aid.
You just have to lock yourself away and get it done.
Like many new and prospective college students, the free application for federal student aid, otherwise known as FAFSA, is even more important this year.
There's $150 billion out there of federal aid, and this aid comes in loans, grants, and even work-study programs. But here's the thing you have to remember. It's a first-come, first-served basis.
Financial expert Megan Gorman says it's important to fill out the FAFSA early, as more families are expected to apply this year due to the economic fallout of the COVID-19 crisis. The form is available starting Thursday with options to apply online or through the app.
People's income that is going to be reported for FAFSA purposes is their 2019 income tax return. But that doesn't mean you can't report to the federal government that you've had a change in economic circumstances.
Families facing financial hardship can take extra steps to request a professional judgment review, submitting information like layoff notices or unemployment checks. College financial aid offices then have the discretion to make adjustments so students can qualify for more aid.
It seems like busy work and it's not very fun and it takes a while to see the results of it, but you'll eventually get there.
Effort that could be worth the hassle to cut the cost of college. Liz McLaughlin, NBC News.
Great tips. Also important to get those scholarship forms in too. Turning to weather now, meteorologist Gino Recchia, you're in your home studio this morning. Is it a little, have you stepped outside yet? Have you noticed, is it a little bit chillier this morning? It was cool on my way in.
I haven't stepped outside really, but I did open up my sliding door to the balcony because all these studio lights really heat me up. So it's nice that it's cold to kind of cool me off a little bit, Emily.
There you go.
So, exactly. Working with Mother Nature here. Yesterday's high temperatures were in the mid-50s, but farther to the west, it was warm. We've got highs in the mid-80s Now, we're not going to be seeing temperatures that warm anytime soon. However, it does appear we'll start to warm things up. We have above average temperatures starting to build in here as we head into the first week and a half, as we get into October, because it is towards the end of our September, the first kind of start to fall. But what happens as you get into mid next week? Warm air advances in here, the cold air retreats up into Canada, and we could be talking about some upper 60s, maybe even some 70s in that forecast. We're talking about a week and a half to 2 weeks from now. 47 degrees right now. We're starting to see more of that light shining in the distance. Sunrise officially at 6:50 and sunset at 6:34. 38 in Antigo. We've got 37 in Watoma. Mid-upper 40s across the Fox Valley. Lakeside areas are right around 50 degrees. Winds are coming in pretty light right now out of the west and southwest, but as the cold front and a trough of low pressure moves eastward, we're going to be seeing those winds shift out of the northwest and breezy at times as we head into the afternoon. Radar is showing quiet conditions, but you see off towards Eau Claire and Superior, we've got some rainfall heading in this way, and as we get into the afternoon hours, that's when we'll have some of those scattered rain showers and even perhaps a rumble of thunder as we have round after round of cold front, and that's going to continue to push in the surge of cold air in here. And with it, with the daytime heating, cause some instability in the atmosphere, and that's why we're seeing these pop-up showers that are expected to develop as we head into the afternoon and evening. 5:15 right now on Skycast this evening, and you see those scattered showers. The morning hours should be dry, but as we get close towards lunchtime, that's when the rain moves in here. As we continue on into the evening, the activity and coverage will diminish, but we'll still keep the chance of a few scattered rain showers, and that carries over into your Thursday forecast as well, as we see additional rain showers popping in here, and then maybe some clearing skies as we head into Friday morning. Temperature-wise, climbing up to right around 60 degrees for your afternoon high. We'll be seeing winds light out of the west, coming in out of the northwest at about 10 to 20. 45 overnight low, 54 tomorrow for your high. North winds 10 to 15 miles per hour. 70 forecast, here we go, 54 Thursday, but then 33 Friday morning, and then also Saturday morning, but then as we retreat towards next week, Emily, off my shoulder, 64 for a high temperature, so we're not seeing, that frigid air and just yet sticking around here for a long time.
Not yet, but we need the umbrella and maybe a little bit of a thicker jacket. All right, thanks, Gino. Still to come, delivery delays, why appliances are taking longer to arrive at their destinations, and what you should know so you don't waste your money. Movie theaters are at risk, with some predictions saying up to 60% could soon close. The big chains are facing obstacles like limited capacity, a lack of new movies, and slow return by audiences. Some theaters are renting out space for private parties to stay afloat. People can watch pretty much any movie, including the classics. Many theaters are banking on a couple of big movies in November to help boost business, including a James Bond film and a new Pixar movie. We're all familiar with the shortages that have rolled through stores all year. Lysol wipes are understandable, but refrigerators? Consumer reporter John Matarese looks into worsening appliance delivery time so you don't waste your money.
Need a new fridge, washing machine, or microwave? Well, you might want to plan ahead because delivery dates are getting pushed further and further back this fall. It's the latest shortage this pandemic year, but to many homeowners, it's the most frustrating of all. We're talking the appliance shortage, as stores struggle to get basic kitchen appliances to their customers.
It started with freezers, and it's gradually gotten in any appliance category, so a microwave, range, anything.
There are 3 reasons: springtime plant shutdowns, shipping delays from China, and surging demand as homeowners redo their homes this year. So from the Doesn't That Stink file, while you need to check delivery dates very carefully, the website mouseprint.org says you will find plenty for sale at Lowe's, Home Depot, and Best Buy. But Mouseprint found a popular Whirlpool fridge will not be available at Lowe's till December 10th. A Sears fridge that first said 3-day delivery actually won't be available till October 14th. And a Best Buy fridge just says coming soon. And that stinks if your old one just quit. Solution? Don't be fussy about brand or features if you need one ASAP. Bottom line, if you can be flexible about the model, you should be able to get something in a few days. As always, don't waste your money. Keep you connected. I'm John Matarese, NBC 26.
Thanks, John. Good to know. 3 weeks into the season, the NFL is now dealing with its first outbreak of coronavirus. The Tennessee Titans and Minnesota Vikings have become the league's first teams to shut down operations because of positive tests. It comes 2 days after they played each other in Minneapolis. The Green Bay Packers are keeping a close watch on the situation, which could potentially derail the 2020 season. Also, a major concern for the Packers, a huge spike in coronavirus cases here in the Green Bay area. Meanwhile, the Milwaukee Brewers start their postseason series against the LA Dodgers tonight. It's the first time in franchise history the Crew have been in the postseason 3 years in a row. That game will start tonight at 9. If they win the 3-game series, they'll go on to play the winner of the Cardinals versus Padres series. Turn into weather now. Gino Recchia at his home studio. Do you enjoy your oatmeal or your cereal? Whatever it is today?
My oatmeal? No. I actually had Honey Nut Cheerios this morning, if you're interested to know. Yeah. I know. Helps lower cholesterol supposedly on the box, so I don't think I have that problem yet, hopefully, but, we'll see what the blood test shows. We've got temperatures that are in the upper 30s in Watoma. We've got 38 in Anago, mid and upper 40s across the Fox Valley this morning. We're going to climb up today. It'll be a little warmer than yesterday. However, it's still going to be below average. Temperatures struggling to get near that 60-degree mark. Radar is showing mostly quiet in terms of rainfall wise for the time being, but we're starting to see some of this rain advance in from the west, and that's going to provide us with another chance of rain showers as we head into the afternoon. Temperature wise, as I was talking about, we'll start to climb up to near 60 degrees by the afternoon, but also with it, another cold front moves in here. We're talking more cold weather, timing it out coming up in the next half hour.
Keeping you connected in Northeast Wisconsin. You're watching NBC 26 Today.
Coming up on NBC 26 Today, with coronavirus surging here in Wisconsin, why health leaders say we're at a critical point. Plus, new hours at the Oshkosh testing site and what leaders say to do if you've experienced symptoms. And new details this morning about 2 men killed Monday night in Green Bay. Good Wednesday morning. Our meteorologist, Gino Recchia, working from home for us. What's the weather like here today?
Well, the weather, Emily, is going to be a little warmer today, and also it looks like some sunshine to start off the bat. That's nice considering the last 2 days have been quite gloomy out there with a little bit of cloud cover and some rain showers. But it does appear another chance of rain showers are going to be inevitable as we get into the afternoon. So enjoy the sunshine if you love it. We've got 47 degrees outside. You can see a lot of the clear skies on the background on our tower cam, but we are going to be tracking some of that rainfall returning. Coldest temperatures right now this morning are in Watoma and Anago, upper 30s. The rest of us are holding on into the mid and upper 40s. A little cool in Glenville right now, holding on to 43 degrees at the moment. Winds light out of the west and southwest at about 2 to 5, 7 miles per hour. They'll start to teeter the arrows out of the west and northwest later on as we get into the afternoon with another frontal boundary moving in here. We have, like I talked about, mostly clear skies, but take a look off towards the west. Another round of rainfall in here, and that's going to be moving in as we get into the afternoon. So umbrellas will be handy as you head out the door if you didn't put it away just yet. Skycast is showing as we get into the afternoon. Here we go, pop-up showers, maybe even a rumble of thunder, so something to watch out for. Temperatures climbing up to near 60 degrees, still a little below average. We're talking colder weather, but then a warm-up coming in our way. I'll talk about that coming up later on.
All right, thanks, Gino. Election 2020 now. All eyes were on a chaotic debate stage last night as President Trump and rival Joe Biden had their first showdown. The night touched on topics like coronavirus, civil unrest, and the new Supreme Court nominee. Neither candidate gave a clear plan on how they would want the country to move forward in the pandemic. As the conversation moved into civil unrest, Trump dodged a question on whether he would condemn the white supremacist group known as Proud Boys. When it came to Supreme Court nominee Amy Barrett, Biden argued that it should wait until after the election so voters can have a say in the lawmakers involved in confirming her. Trump countered that he is still in office and has the right to move forward with his nomination. Turning now to the coronavirus pandemic's impact on the 2020 presidential campaign. During a state briefing, Governor Tony Evers responded to questions about President Trump's upcoming trips Saturday to Green Bay and La Crosse and how to try to keep the event safe.
One is maybe not come. These two municipalities and cities are ranked right up towards the top of all the places in the country to go to. So that's number one, he could not come. The second thing that could be done is for him to insist that if people are there, they wear a mask. He can make that happen. He could wear one too.
Wisconsin health officials reported 17 more deaths related to coronavirus yesterday, bringing the state's death toll to 1,300. They also reported more than 2,300 new cases of the virus statewide. There are now more than 20,250 active cases of COVID-19 in Wisconsin. State health officials say we are at a critical point in the pandemic. Officials say we've now exceeded the capacity of local health departments to do contact tracing for everyone who needs it, which is a problem because it's one of the ways to stop the virus from spreading.
The level of transmission we have right now is outstripping our ability to do that, which means that it's safe to assume that the virus is everywhere.
Health officials also say as hospitalizations increase and more healthcare workers are exposed to the virus, we're getting closer to the possibility of needing to use the alternate care facility at the state fairgrounds. There is space for 700 beds. No patients have been sent there so far, but Wisconsin's health secretary designee says that could change soon.
We built that as the ultimate insurance policy, right? In the worst case scenario, the scenario we hope we never get to, but that we are closer to getting to than we ever have been.
If healthcare providers do need to use the alternate care facility, they have to give about a week's notice to get it staffed and ready for patients. One local emergency room doctor says, quote, "I can't speak to other areas in the state, but in Brown County, we're in deep trouble." That doctor works for Bellin Health. Bellin Hospital is being forced to implement contingency plans like staging overflow patients in hallways until rooms can be found for them. Meanwhile, Winnebago County urges anyone who is experiencing symptoms of COVID-19 or has been in close contact with someone who has tested positive to get tested. Leaders announced new hours at the Oshkosh testing site, now open 10 to 6 Monday through Friday and 8 to 4 on Saturday. The testing site is located at the Sunnyview Expo Center.
Registering ahead and or using the app is really key, and then staying home after your test. Those would be the two things.
Winnebago County health officials also ask people to stay home after taking the test until they get their results. Do not wait to quarantine. People could see a wait of more than 2 hours at the site to get a test. Still to come, anxiety relief, the program working to help those struggling to cope during this pandemic. Coping through the pandemic can certainly be a challenge. In our Rebound report, NBC 26's Abigail Hankey shows us how one program is working to help.
I say that her laughter is like sunshine for your soul.
Music to her mother's ears as 6-year-old Viola returned to her favorite therapy in June.
Absolute joy in her eyes when she gets to ride some of her favorite horses here. It's magic.
Because like so many, Exceptional Equestrians, a nonprofit helping those with all abilities, had to close its doors and the arena because of the pandemic, causing sleepless nights for Lisa Kafka trying to figure out what to do.
What we do here has such a strong impact, not only on physical challenges, but more recently we're seeing emotional well-being issues.
After 10 weeks of research and reaching out to families on how they could safely reopen, they welcome back several riders, but at a limited capacity.
And Josh is one of her favorites, and that's who she got to ride today. So it was, do you think you're going to ride Josh? And, you know, just to see the magic in her eyes get so big, and that smile and that laughter.
The nonprofit is still facing several obstacles, from having enough volunteers to trying to provide therapy for everyone who needs it, especially as they're seeing more referrals for mental health.
And so we're really struggling because we don't want to say no to anyone, and our referrals are doubling, and a lot of those referrals are children, young adults, and adults that are struggling with anxiety, depression, And those things that were present in our world before are just exacerbated now by this situation, by this pandemic.
For now, Kafka says they're thankful to continue providing therapy, but will work to figure out how to help even more.
In the end, the benefit outweighs all of the tough times that we're facing.
To see the connection between my daughter and her therapist and my daughter and her horse, I mean, it's bliss, pure bliss.
In De Pere, Abigail Hinkie, NBC 26.
Very sweet story. Thanks, Abigail. Another problem the organization says they're facing is money. They're thanking the community for their support in helping them reopen safely. All right, still ahead, Halloween ideas. How parents can make this holiday fun for kids this year despite the pandemic.
And we're tracking some rainfall, so while it's looking pretty sunny to start to the day, you'll want to grab the umbrella and also the jacket. We're talking about temperatures right now in the lower to mid 40s. We'll start to warm things up as we get into the afternoon to near 60 degrees, but another cold front moves in here and more cold air on the way. The full forecast coming up after the break.
Good morning. Coming up on today, the fallout from last night's presidential debate marked by a barrage of insults and interruptions. Some critics now suggesting the first should be the last. This morning, how voters are reacting to the onstage chaos in Cleveland. Also ahead, as temperatures drop and we spend more time inside, an eye-opener from Vicki Wynn. She'll demonstrate how quickly the coronavirus can spread indoors and offer some solutions to reduce your risk. Plus, Shepard Smith, he joins us live before tonight's debut of his new show on CNBC. We'll talk to him about his return to TV, his departure from Fox News, and we'll also get Shep's take on the debate. We'll have that and a lot more, guys, when we see you in just a bit, right here on Today.
You're watching NBC 26 Today with Brooke Haves and meteorologist Michael Fish.
Good morning, I'm Emily Beyer in for Brooke Haves. Just a few days before a planned price hike for citizenship and other immigration benefits, a federal judge has put a stop to it. The UD district judge says it's because the last two chiefs of the Homeland Security Department may have been appointed illegally. When Kirstjen Nelson resigned last April, the judge says Kevin McLennan improperly jumped to her position as acting secretary. McLennan was supposed to be seventh in line. When he resigned, Chad Wolf became acting secretary, who the judge says was also not next in line. Homeland Security says it's reviewing the judge's ruling. The American Heart Association is raising concerns about women and heart disease. A new study showed just 44% of women are aware heart disease is a leading cause of death. That's down from 65% in 2009. The lack of awareness rose the most in women ages 25 to 34 and among women who identified as Hispanic or non-Hispanic Black. The American Heart Association says they need family doctors, obstetricians, and gynecologists to educate younger women about risk factors they may experience when starting a family.
A lot of risk factors that occur during one's pregnancy or adverse risk factors such as gestational high blood pressure, gestational diabetes, something called preeclampsia, where your blood pressure becomes very high and you spill a multitude of proteins. Those are actually risk factors for women in the future to have underlying cardiovascular conditions.
The American Heart Association says women need to be aware of symptoms that may indicate a heart attack but could be mistaken as something less severe. Those include shortness of breath, jaw pain, nausea, vomiting, and indigestion. The association also wants women to be aware of less common risk factors for heart disease.
Heart disease is an inflammatory process. So if you have underlying inflammatory conditions such as autoimmune disease like lupus or rheumatoid arthritis, for example, or even inflammatory bowel disease, that can put you at a higher risk for heart disease.
The American Heart Association says 80% of risk factors are preventable. Those include obesity, diabetes, smoking, and alcohol use. Halloween can be a scary time of year, but a lot of families are trying to make it less frightening this year because of COVID-19. John Maroney shares a few ideas.
It's that time of year, and the decorations are up at Justin Saviano's house, where Halloween will be celebrated a little bit different because of COVID-19.
Probably have something around the yard, maybe a scavenger hunt, do some pumpkin carving.
Halloween marks the first fall holiday during the pandemic. The CDC says people should avoid trick-or-treating and parties. Here in Massachusetts, some communities have banned door-to-door visits altogether.
I'll have trick-or-treats, and if the kids come to the house, I'll have something to give them, and if they don't, well, I guess I'll have to eat it myself.
The state is recommending you refrain from Halloween activities like handing out candy if you feel sick, tested positive for COVID-19, have been exposed to someone who has, or have traveled to high-risk states in the last 2 weeks. At the Spirit Halloween store in Dedham, they're taking all the necessary precautions. There are COVID-19 accessories as well, including masks and these extenders to collect candy at a distance.
It's been more popular this year than last year because last year wasn't understood. This year it's being understood.
It's still a month before Halloween, but business is picking up. Costume sales are slower, but decorations are big as families look for holiday alternatives.
I had a family come in, they said, you know what, we're not going anywhere, we're not doing anything, but we're going to sit together in the living room in our costumes and watch movies.
The kids can still have their costumes and dress up and kind of enjoy the time of year.
There you go. Love watching a good scary movie. I also really love doing pumpkin carving and apple picking to make caramel apples. We have some good weather for that. What do you think, Gino?
Well, the morning right now is okay, but the thing is that over the next coming days, it's going to be a little gloomy out there. So not really the best type of weather, unless you want to do it inside. But then next week, I think that's when we'll start to kind of see things get a little bit better out there. How about some warm temperatures off towards the west? We had highs in the mid-80s over the central and northern plains, but off towards here in northeast Wisconsin, well, not so much. However, as we head into the 6 to 10 day outlook, you are seeing the return for some average and even above average temperatures. Cool air right now across the area for the time being. However, as we head into later towards the week, we'll start to see the warm air return here. So that'll be nice to see. 47 degrees currently in Green Bay. Our light wind out of the south at 3 miles per hour. We're at 37 in Watoma, 38 in Anago, 46 in Pembine, 49 in Ephraim, and in the upper 40s along the shoreline. Winds are coming in pretty light out of the southwest, but they will be shifting out of the west and northwest later on today. And we're starting off with a little bit of sunshine, a few isolated rain showers up towards the Menominee and northern Door County, but we'll start to see more coverage as we head into the afternoon because off towards the west, more rainfall heading in here. And the reason why is that we got areas of low pressure pushing through the area, and all these areas of low pressures and its associated cold fronts are continuing to push in cold air masses and spark off some of these showers. So as we head into the afternoon and evening, we'll see the scattered showers continue, maybe even a rumble of thunder isolated. As we head into tonight, mostly quiet conditions, could have an isolated sprinkle here or there. And then as we head into the mornings tomorrow, we'll see once again a few isolated showers pop up and carry over into the afternoon with more cold air moving in here. But later Friday or Thursday night into Friday morning, it does appear some clearing skies are going to move in, and that will really drop our temperatures down into the lower 30s for many of us. So pretty chilly start. Temperature-wise, we will be climbing up to high right around 60 degrees. We will be seeing isolated scattered rain showers, northwest winds 10 to 20, gusts upwards of 30 miles per hour. Then for tonight, we'll cool off to 45, northwest wind, about 10 miles per hour. Scattered rain shower possible. Tomorrow we'll climb up to high of 54. Scattered rain showers continuing. Temperatures are running about 8 to 10 degrees below normal. Near 50 on our Friday with a morning low of 33, back to 33 on our Saturday, 50 degrees Saturday and Sunday. We have an area low pressure moving in here, Emily, and that'll bring in some more scattered steady rain showers during the weekend. But then as we head towards next week, 64 by next week Tuesday, so the warmer air, I should say, is returning eventually.
Sounds good. Thanks, Gino. Still to come, takeaways from last night's presidential debate and the topics voters here in Wisconsin say they care about most. But first, let's take a live look outside on our Green Bay Tower Cam. Beautiful sunrise coming up here this morning. High of 60 on your Wednesday morning. Stay with us. You're watching NBC 26 today. In today's top stories, all eyes were on a chaotic debate stage last night as President Trump and rival Joe Biden had their first showdown. The night touched on topics like coronavirus, civil unrest, and the new Supreme Court nominee. The Republican National Committee overnight released a statement on the debate saying, quote, "For 90 minutes, President Trump made a confident, commanding, and compelling case for his re-election while tasking Joe Biden to task for supporting radical policies that would raise taxes, destroy jobs, and make our communities less safe." And the Democratic Party posted to Facebook saying, quote, "Voters across America saw Joe Biden win this debate, but it'll take a lot more work to win this election and restore the soul of this nation." Supporters in the area rallied their bases during last night's debate. Republicans and Democrats say political momentum has been strong this year. Both parties say voters here in Wisconsin want answers on a few important issues.
How are we going to keep health care in place for people in Wisconsin? How are we going to get jobs back in Wisconsin? How are we going to fund public education so all kids have an equal opportunity?
A lot of husbands and wives are saying to each other, can we send our children out on the streets? Can we be sure that they're going to be safe?
President Trump returns again to Wisconsin this weekend, landing in Green Bay on Saturday. President Trump won Kenosha by a razor-thin margin of 238 votes in 2016, and 2020 is expected to be a close race once again. The area was thrust into the spotlight this year with the police shooting of Jacob Blake and the civil unrest that followed. Both presidential candidates visited the city, and both parties are working hard to sway swing voters. During last night's event, they told us the recovery of the Kenosha economy after COVID-19 and the unrest is top of mind.
I think people trust Donald Trump a little bit better to get the economy going again and to let COVID run its course. And that doesn't mean to just throw off restraint. That just means that there's only so much that can be done for COVID.
From my perspective right now, Joe Biden has a plan for healthcare. He has a plan for the economy. I know Donald Trump's been talking about it for a number of years, but I haven't seen what that plan is.
Before Donald Trump, the last time Kenosha County went for a Republican was Richard Nixon. Police say 2 men are dead and an officer is injured with a stab wound, and another man is in custody following a police chase in Green Bay. Detectives say they were called to the 500 block of Clement Street Monday evening for a report of shots fired. Police say that when they arrived to this apartment complex, they found one man dead in a hallway and another man dead in an apartment room, both shot to death. Police say they located a suspect later in the evening, but he took off in a car, eventually crashing it at the intersection of Dousman and North Broadway.
One of our officers was stabbed in the face. The suspect had a cut to his wrist. We believe that was self-inflicted.
Police say the officer who was stabbed has already been released from the hospital after undergoing reconstructive surgery. Investigators say the suspect is believed to have known the 2 victims. At this time, police say they do not have a motive for the crime, but they have ruled out drugs. 3 weeks into the season, the NFL is now dealing with its first outbreak of coronavirus. The Tennessee Titans and Minnesota Vikings have become the league's first teams to shut down operations because of positive tests. It comes 2 days after they played each other in Minneapolis. Meanwhile, the Milwaukee Brewers start their postseason series against the LA Dodgers tonight. It's the first time in franchise history the Crew have been in the postseason 3 years in a row. That game will start tonight at 9. If they win the 3-game series, they'll go on to play the winner of the Cardinals versus Padres series. Very exciting. Looking to not too bad of a day here, right, Gino?
Yeah, it's not too shabby. We could see a few light rain showers as we head into the afternoon, but the morning hours probably need the sunglasses. We've got a lot of mostly sunny to partly cloudy skies, and with temperatures right now in the 40s for most of us, a little cooler in Watoma, 36 degrees, Anago at 38 and 39 up in Mountain. We got the rainfall that's moving eastward. You can see that off towards the west left part of the screen right here, heading in towards Stevens Point, and that's going to provide us with some rain showers as we get into the afternoon hours. As we get to, I would say, topping off to right around 60 degrees this afternoon, a little warmer than what we saw for the high temperature yesterday, which was right around 56. So yes, it was a cooler day outside. The rest of our area, mid-upper 50s up towards the Northwoods, and then as we head into the Fox Valley and areas along the shoreline, we'll be seeing those high temperatures right around